How will Iran react to recent posturing by the United States? Senior editor Paul Jay discusses the geopolitical context with Pepe Escobar, correspondent for The Real News and a columnist for the Asia Times Online.
Two British academics and defense specialists, Dan Plesh and Martin Butcher, just released a study essentially on what would be America's strategy towards an attack on Iran. They more or less predict that there will be one. It's this psych op on behalf of the Americans trying to scare the heck out of the Iranians. Or are we looking in the course of the next 12 months of a real possibility of an American attempt to destroy the Iranian society?
Well, you don't scare Persians easily. You know, if you compare Persian civilization with American civilization, they are a few thousand years ahead, and they fought many battles with invaders from all over the world. Iran may be a multicultural state, but Iranian national feeling is extremely powerful. So the first, if there is, which in my particular opinion, I think there will be an attack, which is kind of a remix of shock and awe for 3 days, for 1,200 targets. And most of them, we should stress, civilian targets, because we're talking about communication, transport, telephone exchanges like in Iraq. The first thing that will happen is that the whole population will rally behind the government, which is a terrible thing to happen, considering that nowadays, and starting after Ahmadinejad came to power in 2005, there has been a crackdown on students, reformists, women's movements, intellectuals, universities, the judiciary. This is terrible. It is going to be even worse because everybody will be united, but this time behind a theocratic police state, which is what the Iranian regime is. So we may abandon any possibility of a revolution from the inside, of a revolution from the grassroots happening in Iran, which is something that is slowly evolving. And if Iran was left alone, maybe these people would engineer some kind of peaceful, maybe velvet revolution in the next few years, in the next 6, 10 years at least.
Is the election of Rafsanjani a reaction to this possibility of an American attack?
Yes, it is, because people are afraid of Ahmadinejad's rhetoric and the Revolutionary Guard's martial posture. They know how the West thinks, and they know how neocons think as well. And they know that it's not bluster. They know these people are extremely dangerous. And when they mean when they say that we want to attack Iran with 1,200 targets in 3 days, they really mean it, and they may actually do it. The general population in Iran is starting to get the picture now. Until last year, not really. When I was in Iran last year, people were saying, nah, the Americans are just threatening us, they're not going to do anything. This year, it's completely changed because we have two parallel processes. We have the crackdown over the civilian population. We have the regime trying to rally the population behind the nuclear program as an expression of Iranian pride and know-how. And we have the campaign by the government to pinpoint how the West is not interested in dialogue with Iran. It's just interested in stigmatizing Iranian society.
Rafsanjani comes to the stage once again with a lot of rhetoric about the West, but is he actually there to try to make a deal?
Yes, absolutely. The rhetoric is for internal consumption. It's for Shiites all over the world, but he's ready to make a deal.
In the context of this, what's the significance of the election of Rafsanjani as head of the Advisory of Experts Council that oversees the Supreme Leader and picks a new Supreme Leader?
This is very important because the other option was the absolutely bad option, which was Ayatollah Mesbayazdi, which is the mentor of Ahmadinejad, which is probably the most hardcore Ayatollah in the Shiite world. The only thing that matters to Ayatollah Yazdi is the coming of the Mahdi.
And he was defeated in this election.
He was defeated in this election by Rafsanjani, which is an opportunist, but a pragmatist, and a guy who always preached a dialogue with the West, who has some very good back channels in Europe and especially in Washington. And he's relatively trusted even by American conservatives. I'm not talking about neoconservatives, but American establishment. The hierarchy, more or less, is Supreme Ayatollah Khamenei as number one. He's the all decider. Number 2 would be Rafsanjani. And number 3 will be Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad doesn't control anything. He doesn't control the armed forces. He doesn't control the military. He doesn't control the judiciary. And especially he doesn't control the nuclear program. And he doesn't even control the revolutionary guards themselves. They all respond to Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader.